The message traveled through space for 60 years before anyone heard it. It was a simple thing. Radio waves carrying music, voices, and pictures from a small blue planet, orbiting an ordinary yellow star. The beings who sent it never expected anyone to answer. They just wanted to say hello to the universe. On the bridge of the HFY observation vessel, Commander Kron watched the primitive signals play across his screen. His gray scales shifted colors as he listened to the strange sounds. Music? He realized. These creatures made music. What do you think of them? Asked his second officer, a younger Valoran named Sethkai. Kathron did not answer immediately. He had served the hegemony for 200 years. He had watched a dozen species fall under Valoran rule. Some fought, some surrendered. All of them eventually served. That was the way of things. The strong ruled, the weak obeyed. But something about these humans troubled him. They survived themselves, he said finally. Their history is filled with war and death. They split the atom and nearly destroyed their own world. They poisoned their air and water. They fought each other over land, over resources, over ideas. He paused. And yet they are still here, still reaching for the stars. Sethkai made a dismissive sound. They are primitives. They have no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields. Their weapons are chemical explosives and simple projectiles. They pose no threat to the hegemony. Perhaps, said Catherine, but he did not believe his own word. The observation vessel spent 3 months watching Earth. They recorded everything. The humans built tall towers that touched the clouds. They created machines that thought for them. They sent small ships to their moon and to the red planet nearby. They argued and fought and loved and dreamed. Catherine found himself fascinated by them. They were so young, so full of hope, so completely unaware of the dark universe waiting beyond their small blue world. When the observation was complete, Catherine sent his report to the Council of 12. The Council ruled the hegemony from the throne world of Valoria Prime. 12 species had joined together 40,000 years ago to conquer their section of the galaxy. The Valorans were the strongest among them, and so the Valorans led. The Council received the report and made their decision quickly. Earth was rich in heavy metals. Its people were numerous and could be put to work. The planet would make an excellent addition to the hegemony. The humans would submit, or they would suffer. There was no third option. Catherine requested permission to speak before the council. It was granted. He stood in the great chamber, where the 12 representatives sat on their tall chairs. The room was ancient. The walls were carved with images of conquest and glory. Catherine felt small standing there, but he spoke anyway. "Honored Council," he said, "I urge caution with these humans." The Valoran representative, an old female named Beth Mora, looked down at him with cold eyes. "Explain yourself, Commander." "They are survivors," said Catherine. "Their history shows a species that refuses to die. They fight each other constantly, yet they grow stronger from each conflict. They adapt, they learn, they overcome." "They are primitives," said the CH representative. The Kree were large creatures covered in thick armor plates. They respected only strength. They have no ships worthy of the name. Their weapons cannot scratch our hulls. What is there to fear? "Their spirit," said Catherine. "I watched them for 3 months. They never give up. When disaster strikes, they rebuild. When enemies attack, they unite. When faced with impossible odds, they find a way." The council members looked at each other. Some seemed thoughtful. Most seemed amused. "You have served well, Commander," said Betha. "But you have grown soft in your old age. These humans are nothing special. They will submit like all the others. We will send the standard submission protocol. If they resist, we will break them. This discussion is over." Catherine wanted to argue more, but he knew it would change nothing. The council had decided the humans would learn their place in the universe. He only hoped he was wrong about them. On Earth, the year was 2147 by the human calendar. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the United Nations Deep Space Communication Center. She was 52 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. She had spent her entire career searching for signs of life beyond Earth. Now, finally, her search was over. "The signal is definitely artificial," said her assistant, a young man named James. His hands shook as he pointed at the screen. It's coming from something in orbit around Jupiter, something big. Sarah stared at the data. Her heart beat fast in her chest. This was the moment she had dreamed of since childhood. Humanity was not alone. There were others out there, intelligent beings who had crossed the vast distance between stars. "Have we decoded their message?" she asked. James nodded. "It's actually quite simple. Mathematical equations, mostly basic physics, universal constants. They're showing us they understand science." And he hesitated. "And what?" "There are images of them. The aliens." Sarah moved to another screen. She saw shapes that looked almost like tall lizards standing upright. They had scales and long tails and large eyes. They wore clothing and stood in what looked like the bridge of a spacecraft. "My God," she whispered. "They're real. They're actually real." Within hours, the news spread across the planet. Every television, every computer, every phone showed the same images. Humanity reacted with a mixture of fear and excitement. Some people panicked. Some celebrated. Religious leaders gave speeches. Scientists made predictions. Politicians argued about what to do. The United Nations formed a special council to handle first contact. They called it the United Terran Council. Representatives from every nation gathered to compose humanity's first message to another species. They argued for 3 days. What should they say? What should they offer? What did they want? In the end, they chose to be honest. The message was sent in 72 languages and included mathematical proofs to show that humans understood science. It included music and art to show that humans valued beauty. It included images of families and communities to show that humans valued each other. And at the center of the message was a simple statement. "We come in peace. We wish to learn from you. We wish to share what we know. We wish to be friends among the stars. We hope you feel the same." Sarah Chen watched the message transmit into the darkness. She felt tears in her eyes. Whatever happened next, humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe. "What do you think they'll say?" asked James. Sarah smiled. "I think they'll see that we're good people. Different from them, maybe, but good." She could not have been more wrong. The hegemony received humanity's message aboard the battleship that now orbited Earth. Amal Koran read the translation with contempt on his face. "They want to be friends," he said, laughing. The officers around him laughed as well. "These primitive creatures want to share and learn and hold hands across the stars." "Shall I prepare the submission protocol?" Admiral asked his weapons officer. Koran nodded. "Target their largest coastal cities. 3 should be enough to demonstrate our power. Make sure the death toll is significant. They need to understand that resistance means extinction." The weapons officer hesitated for just a moment. Admiral Commander Kethan recommended caution with these beings. He said they might be dangerous. Koran made a harsh sound. "Kethan is old and frightened of shadows. Look at these humans. They send messages of peace and friendship. They pose no threat to us. They are weak, and the weak must serve the strong." He waved his hand. "Fire when ready." The kinetic projectiles fell from orbit at 20 times the speed of sound. Shanghai was the first to die. 20 million people lived in that great city by the sea. They were working, playing, loving, dreaming. When the sky turned to fire, the impact created a crater 3 kilometers wide. The shock wave flattened everything for 50 kilometers in every direction. The tsunami that followed drowned another 100 kilometers of coastline. In the space of 30 seconds, 6 million people died. Before the survivors could understand what had happened, the second projectile struck New York. The city that never slept was silenced forever. 4 million souls vanished in a flash of light and fury. The third projectile hit Mumbai. 8 million more deaths in an instant. Families erased, histories ended, dreams destroyed. 18 million people died in less than 5 minutes. Around the world, humanity watched in horror. The images spread across every network. The burning cities, the fleeing survivors, the bodies floating in the water, the children crying for parents who would never answer. Sarah Chen stood in the communication center, tears streaming down her face. The screen showed the destruction. The message they had received from the aliens played on repeat. "You have been chosen to serve the hegemony. Resistance is not permitted. Surrender your world and your people will be allowed to live." Resist and you will be destroyed. You have 1 day to respond. Why? Sarah whispered. We offered them peace. We offered them friendship. Why would they do this? James had no answer. No one did. The United Terran Council met in emergency session. The representatives were shell-shocked. Some wept openly. Others sat in stunned silence. 18 million of their people were dead. 3 of their greatest cities were burning ruins. We have to surrender, said the representative from France. His face was pale and his hands trembled. We cannot fight them. Did you see what they did? 1 ship destroyed 3 cities. We have nothing that can touch them. Surrender means slavery, said the representative from Nigeria. She was a tall woman with fierce eyes. You heard their message. They want us to serve them. Our children will be born into chains. At least they will be born, said the French representative. If we fight, they will kill us all. The arguments continued for hours. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to surrender. Some wanted to try negotiating. No one knew what to do. Finally, the representative from China stood up. Her name was Lu Wei. Her daughter had been in Shanghai when the projectile hit. She had died, along with millions of others. Liu's face showed no tears. Her eyes showed no fear. They showed only cold, terrible determination. We offered them our hand, she said. Her voice was quiet, but every person in the room heard her clearly. We offered them peace and knowledge and friendship. We asked for nothing but the chance to know them, to learn from them, to grow with them. She paused. Her hands were steady. They answered by killing 18 million of our people, children, families, innocent people who had done nothing wrong. They murdered them because they thought we were weak, because they thought we would bow down and serve them out of fear. She looked around the room. I will not bow. I will not serve, and I will not forgive. The Russian representative spoke up. What choice do we have? We cannot fight them. Our weapons are useless against their ships. Louis smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Today we cannot fight them. But we are human. We learn. We adapt. We overcome. We have done it before. We will do it again. They will destroy us if we resist, said the French representative. They will destroy us anyway, Yun said. Louis, slavery is just death spread over time. I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees, and I would rather my children die free than live as slaves. The room was silent. What do you propose? Asked the representative from Brazil. Leo turned to face the window. Outside, the sun was setting. The sky was red like blood. We go quiet, she said. We make them think we are broken. We rebuild our cities. We mourn our dead. We act like the weak primitives they believe us to be. And then we prepare. Every nation, every resource, every mind. We unite as one species for the first time in our history. We learn their technology. We build our own ships. We create weapons they have never imagined. She turned back to face the council. And when we are ready, we make them pay for every single life they took. Not because we want revenge, but because they need to learn that humanity is not prey. We are not slaves. We are survivors, and we will never, ever give up. The council voted. The decision was unanimous. The response was sent to the alien ship the next day. It was simple and short. Message received. We understand now. You will hear from us again. Admiral Corrin read the message and felt satisfaction. The humans had learned their lesson. They would be good servants in time. Perhaps he would even be rewarded for his quick victory. He ordered his ship to withdraw to a safe distance. The Hegemony would send administrators in a few months to begin the process of integration. For now, the humans could bury their dead and prepare for their new lives. On his ship, Commander Catherine read the same message, but he did not feel satisfaction. He felt something else, something cold and uncomfortable. You will hear from us again. Such a simple statement. No anger, no threats, no pleas for mercy, just a promise. Catherine had studied humans for 3 months. He had watched them recover from disasters that would have destroyed other species. He had watched them unite against common enemies. He had watched them achieve the impossible through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. What have we done? He whispered to himself. No one answered. No one would answer for many years. But deep in his heart, Catherine knew the hegemony had made a terrible mistake, and one day they would pay for it. On Earth, the survivors began to dig. Not graves, though there were many of those. They dug tunnels, deep tunnels that went far below the surface, tunnels that could not be seen from space. Scientists gathered in secret facilities. Engineers designed new machines. Soldiers trained in hidden bases. The whole planet worked together in silence. They mourned their dead, but they did not forget what had been done to them. They did not forget the ships that had come offering slavery. They did not forget the 18 million voices that had been silenced. Dr. Sarah Chen dried her tears and went back to work, not to contact aliens this time. This time, she worked to understand them, to learn their weaknesses, to find ways to defeat them. They came to our world and killed our people, she said to her team. They thought we were weak. They thought we would give up. She looked at the images of the destroyed cities, at the faces of the dead. They were wrong. The work began. The clock started counting. And somewhere in the depths of the earth, humanity began to forge the weapons of its revenge. They had offered peace. They had offered friendship. They had offered their hand in welcome. The universe had answered with fire and death. Now humanity would answer in kind. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. And on that day, the hegemony would learn what it meant to awaken a sleeping giant. The day would come, and regret would follow. 15 years is a long time to be silent. The hegemony watched Earth from a distance. Their sensors showed the humans rebuilding their destroyed cities. Small ships still flew between Earth and its moon. Primitive satellites orbited the planet. Nothing had changed. The humans had learned their place. That was what the hegemony believed. On Valoria Prime, the Council of 12 congratulated themselves on another successful conquest. The human world would be integrated into the hegemony within a decade. Their resources would fuel the empire. Their people would serve as labor for the mines and factories. The submission protocol worked perfectly, said Admiral Corrin at a ceremony in his honor. The humans are broken. They pose no threat. The audience applauded. The Admiral smiled. Everyone was happy. Everyone except Commander Cathron. The old Valoran had retired from active service. He spent his days in his home watching the reports from Earth. Something did not feel right. The humans had stopped sending signals into space. Their broadcast spoke only of rebuilding and mourning. They showed no anger, no fear, no desire for revenge. This troubled Catherine deeply. He had studied human history. After every great tragedy, humans responded with emotion. After their world wars, they built monuments and swore oaths. After natural disasters, they gave speeches about strength and resilience. Humans were loud creatures. They expressed their feelings openly, but now they were quiet. Too quiet. Catherine sent a message to the council. I recommend we send observers to Earth. The humans are behaving strangely. Their silence concerns me. The council rejected his request. You worry too much, old friend. The humans are primitives. They are mourning their dead and accepting their fate. There is nothing to investigate. Catherine disagreed, but no one listened to retired commanders. So he continued to watch and worry in silence. Deep beneath the mountains of Earth, the truth was very different from what the hegemony believed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka had not slept in 3 days. She stood in a vast underground facility, carved into the rock beneath Mount Fuji. Around her, hundreds of scientists and engineers worked at computer stations and experimental equipment. Run the simulation again, she said. Her assistant nodded and pressed a button. On a large screen, a model appeared. It showed a ship bending space around itself, creating a bubble that could travel faster than light. The mathematics work, said the assistant. If we can generate enough power, we can achieve faster than light travel. Yuki stared at the screen. Faster than light. The one thing humans had never been able to achieve. The one thing that had kept them trapped in their small corner of the galaxy. The one thing the aliens had used to conquer the stars. How much power do we need? She asked. More than anything we have ever built, said the assistant. We would need to harness the energy of a small star. Yuki smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. Then we better start working on that. She turned to face her team. These were the best minds on Earth. Physicists, engineers, mathematicians, programmers. They had given up their normal lives to work in this underground facility. They had not seen sunlight in months. They had not spoken to their families. They had sacrificed everything for this project. 15 years ago, we reached out to the stars with hope in our hearts and said, Yuki, we offered peace and friendship. We received death and slavery in return. She pointed at the screen. This is how we answer. Not with anger, not with words, with science, with knowledge, with the one thing humans have always been good at. We adapt, we learn, we overcome. The team nodded. They understood. The aliens have had faster-than-light travel for 40,000 years, said Yuki. We have had 15 years, and the pieces of the weapons they use to kill our people. It is not enough. It will never be enough. She paused. But we are human. We make miracles from nothing. We achieve the impossible every day. And we will do it again because the alternative is extinction. And I refuse to let our species end like this. The work continued day after day, month after month, year after year. On the other side of the world, General Marcus Webb stood in a different underground facility. This one was carved into the heart of an asteroid that orbited between Earth and Mars. Webb was 60 years old with gray hair cut short like a brush. His face was hard and his eyes were harder. He had been a soldier his entire life. He had fought in 3 wars before the aliens came. He had lost friends in each one. Now he was building an army to fight an enemy humanity had never faced before. Show me the progress, he said. His aide pressed a button. The walls of the room became transparent, revealing a massive construction bay that stretched for kilometers. Inside the bay, hundreds of ships were being built. Some were small and fast. Others were huge and bristling with weapons. All of them were hidden from alien eyes. The Shadow Fleet, said the aide. 173 vessels completed. Another 50 under construction, all built using technology, reverse-engineered from the kinetic weapons they used against us. Webb walked along the observation deck studying the ships. They were different from anything humans had built before, sleek and dangerous, designed for one purpose only. What about crews? He asked. We have 200,000 volunteers, said the aide, all trained in secret facilities on Earth. The best soldiers, pilots, and technicians humanity has ever produced. They know what they are signing up for. Yes, sir. They know they may never see their families again. They know they may die in the darkness between stars. They know the odds are against us. Webb nodded slowly, and they volunteered anyway. Every single one, sir. There is a waiting list of 3 million more. Webb allowed himself a small smile. This was what the aliens did not understand about humans. They thought killing 18 million people would break humanity's spirit. Instead, it had united them like nothing else in history. Every nation had contributed to the Shadow Fleet. Old enemies worked together. Old grudges were forgotten. Chinese engineers worked beside American scientists. Russian soldiers trained with European pilots. For the first time ever, humanity was truly one people, because they all had the same enemy now, and they all wanted the same thing. Revenge. Elena Vasquez was only 8 years old when the aliens attacked. She had been visiting her grandmother in New York. She remembered the flash of light, the terrible sound, the ground shaking like the world was ending. Her grandmother pushed her into a subway entrance just before the shockwave hit. The old woman did not make it. Elena survived buried under rubble for 3 days before rescuers found her. Now Elena was 23. She worked in a weapons laboratory deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her specialty was kinetic weapons, the same type of weapons that had killed her grandmother. The alien projectiles use a simple but effective design, she explained to a group of young engineers. They accelerate small masses to extreme velocities. The kinetic energy does the damage. No explosives needed, just physics. She pointed at a diagram on the screen. We have improved on their design. Our projectiles are smaller but faster. They can penetrate shields that would stop the alien weapons, and we can guide them with precision down to the centimeter. One of the engineers raised his hand. How did you figure out how to improve them? Elena smiled coldly. They killed 18 million of our people with these weapons. I have spent 15 years studying every piece of debris, every fragment, every data point we could find. I know these weapons better than the aliens who built them. She paused. My grandmother died, so I could learn. I will not waste her sacrifice." The engineers nodded. They understood. Everyone who worked on the Shadow Fleet had lost someone in the attack. Everyone had a reason to fight. Everyone had a ghost pushing them forward. Commander Conthron received his last intelligence report on Earth in the 15th year after the attack. The report was brief. The humans continued to rebuild. Their technology had not advanced significantly. They showed no signs of military buildup. They appeared to have accepted their fate. Catherine read the report 3 times. Then he put it down and stared out his window at the night sky. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. 15 years of silence. 15 years of obedience. 15 years of nothing. Humans did not do nothing. Humans were always building, always creating, always striving. It was their nature. They could not help themselves. So why were they so quiet? Catherine had a theory, a terrible theory that kept him awake at night. But he had no proof. And without proof, no one would listen. He wrote one final letter to the Council of 12. "I have served the hegemony for 250 years. I have watched a dozen species submit to our rule. I have never been wrong about a threat assessment. Please hear me now. The humans are not broken. They are waiting. I do not know what they are planning, but I know they are planning something. Every instinct I have developed over 2 centuries tells me we are in danger. Send observers to Earth. Send them immediately, before it is too late." The council read his letter. They discussed it briefly. Then they dismissed it. "Keithan has become paranoid in his old age," said Bethra. "The humans are farmers and fishermen now. They pose no threat. Let the old commander enjoy his retirement and his fantasies." The council moved on to other business. The human world was forgotten. This was a mistake that would cost them everything. In the 15th year, Dr. Yuki Tanaka made her breakthrough. She stood in the testing chamber, watching as a small probe prepared for launch around her. The entire facility held its breath. Years of work had led to this moment. Thousands of lives dedicated to a single goal. "Power levels stable," said an engineer. "Drive core activated. All systems ready." Yuki nodded. "Launch the probe." The probe activated its drive. For 1 second, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself seemed to bend around the small vessel. Reality warped, light distorted, and the probe vanished. The room was silent. Then the sensors beeped. "We have it," shouted an engineer. "The probe is transmitting from the Kuiper belt. That's 50 astronomical units away." The journey took less than 3 seconds. The room erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Some cried. Some laughed. Some fell to their knees in relief. Faster than light travel, humans had achieved it in 15 years. Something the aliens had taken thousands of years to develop. Humans had done it in 15 years of desperate work. Yuki did not celebrate. She was already thinking about the next step. "Begin installation of the drives in the Shadow Fleet," she ordered. "We need all ships ready within 6 months." General Webb received the news in his asteroid base. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to hope. "How soon can we move?" he asked. 6 months to install the drives," said his aide. "Another 2 months for crew training. We can launch in 8 months. Webb nodded slowly. 8 months. After 15 years of waiting, it was almost over. "Send word to Earth," he said. "Tell them to prepare the evacuation plans. We will not get a second chance at this. If we fail, the aliens will destroy our world. Our people need to be ready to disappear." "Yes, sir." Webb turned to look at his fleet. 173 ships, 200,000 soldiers, the sum total of humanity's hope for survival. "We are going to war," he said quietly, "against an empire that has ruled for 40,000 years. Against enemies with technology we are only beginning to understand. Against forces that outnumber us 1,000,000 to 1. He smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "They think we are broken. They think we are weak. They think they have already won." He clenched his fist. "They are wrong, and we are going to show them exactly how wrong they are." Louis, now the leader of the United Terran Council, addressed the secret meeting of world leaders one final time. "In 8 months, our fleet will launch. For 15 years, we have worked in secret. We have built ships they do not know exist. We have created weapons they have never seen. We have trained soldiers they cannot imagine. She paused. When our fleet attacks, the aliens will retaliate. They will come to Earth seeking vengeance. That is why we must prepare our people for evacuation. 8 billion humans must disappear. We have identified thousands of hiding places, asteroid colonies, underground bases, frozen moons, dead planets where no one would think to look. And Earth itself? Asked one of the leaders. Louis's face was hard as stone. Earth will serve one final purpose, but that is information only a few need to know. The leaders nodded. They trusted HFY. She had led them through the darkest years. She would lead them through what came next. When this is over, said HFY, humanity will be scattered across 1,000 worlds. We will be harder to kill, harder to find, and we will never stop fighting until we are free. She stood straight and proud. Our ancestors built civilizations from nothing. They crossed oceans and wooden ships. They survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions. We carry their strength in our blood, and we will need every bit of it in the days to come. She raised her hand in salute. For Earth, for our dead, for our children, we fight. The leaders raised their hands in response. We fight. On the day the Shadow Fleet launched, the sun rose over a planet that looked exactly the same as it had for 15 years. Farmers worked their fields. Children went to school. Shops opened for business. Deep beneath the surface, humanity's warriors said goodbye to their families. Many knew they would never see their loved ones again. They went anyway. Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched from the control room as the fleet powered up its FTL drives. She had made this possible. Her work had given humanity a chance. Good luck, she whispered. Give them hell. General Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the flagship. It was called the Fury of Earth. He thought the name was appropriate. All ships report ready, said his aide. Webb nodded. He looked at the crew around him. Young faces, old faces, scared faces, determined faces. Humans from every nation on Earth, united by a common cause. 15 years ago, they killed 18 million of us, he said. They thought that would break us. They thought we would surrender. They thought we were weak. He smiled. Let's show them what weak looks like. He raised his hand. All ships, engage FTL drives. Target Valoria Prime. 173 ships vanished into the darkness. The day of reckoning had come, and the hegemony had no idea what was coming for them. On Valoria Prime, Commander Catherine woke from a nightmare. He had dreamed of fire falling from the sky, of cities burning, of his people screaming. He went to his window and looked up at the stars. Everything was peaceful. Everything was quiet. But Catherine could not shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. He was right. In a few hours, the sky would burn and the hegemony would learn what happened when you offered war to a species that had only wanted peace. The humans were coming, and they were bringing 15 years of rage with them. The Festival of Endless Rule was the most important holiday on Valoria Prime. For 40,000 years, the hegemony had celebrated their dominance over the galaxy. The streets filled with parades, the skies filled with fireworks. Children received gifts and heard stories about their glorious ancestors who had conquered the stars. On this day, 3 billion Valorans looked up at the night sky and felt pride. They were the masters of the universe. Nothing could challenge them. Nothing could threaten them. Their empire would last forever. That was what they believed. At exactly midnight, the sky tore open. 173 human warships materialized in perfect formation above the capital city. They appeared from nowhere, ripping through dimensions and flashes of light and energy. One moment the sky was empty. The next moment, it was filled with death. Admiral Wei Jiang stood on the bridge of the Fury of Earth. She was 45 years old, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much suffering. She had lost her parents in Shanghai. She had spent 15 years waiting for this moment. All ships, report positions, she commanded. All ships in formation, Admiral. The enemy has not detected us. Jiang looked at the tactical display. Valoria Prime hung below them like a blue and green jewel. Beautiful, peaceful, unaware, just like Earth had been. Open a channel to all Valoran frequencies, she said. Channel open, Admiral. Kang took a breath. The words she was about to speak would echo through history. She wanted to get them right. Attention, Valoria Prime. This is Admiral Wei Jiang of the United Terran Fleet. 15 years ago, you came to our world and murdered 18 million of our people. Children, families, innocent lives destroyed without warning or mercy. She paused. You called it a submission protocol. You thought killing millions would make us kneel. You thought we were weak primitives who would accept slavery out of fear. Her voice hardened. You were wrong. She looked at her weapons officer. $18 million. That is the number you owe us. We are here to collect. The officer nodded. Weapons charged and ready, Admiral. Target their orbital defense platforms first, then their military installations. Do not target civilian areas unless fired upon. Admiral. The weapons officer looked confused. We could destroy the entire planet. We could, said Jiang. But we are not them. We came for justice, not genocide. Remember why we fight. Remember who we are. The weapons officer nodded. Yes, Admiral. Jiang raised her hand. All ships, fire at will. The Valoran Defense Fleet was celebrating the festival when the alarm started screaming. Commander Sethkai, now a senior officer, ran to the bridge of his battleship. He could not believe what his sensors were showing. That's impossible, he whispered. The humans have no FTL capability. They cannot be here. But they were here. 173 ships, each one bristling with weapons, each one moving with perfect precision. The humans had not only developed FTL travel, they had mastered it. All ships' battle stations. Sethkai shouted into the communicator. This is not a drill. We are under attack. Around him, the Valoran fleet scrambled to respond. 50 warships, the pride of the Hegemony's home defense force. They should have been enough to destroy any threat. They were not enough. The first wave of human missiles struck the orbital defense platforms. The platforms exploded in balls of fire that lit up the night sky below. Citizens who had been celebrating the festival looked up in confusion, then in terror. Sethkai watched in horror as 3 of his ships vanished in the first exchange of fire. The human weapons were different from anything he had seen before. Faster, more accurate, more deadly. Return fires, he ordered. Target their lead ships. The Valoran ships launched their own missiles, plasma torpedoes that had destroyed countless enemies over thousands of years. They streaked toward the human fleet and missed. The human ships moved like nothing Sethkai had ever seen. They dodged and weaved through the torpedo barrage, performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. Some ships flew directly into the heart of the Valoran formation, getting so close that the defenders could not fire without hitting their own vessels. They're insane, Sethkai breathed. They're flying straight at us. He was right. The human pilots were performing suicide runs, but they were not suicides. At the last moment, each ship would veer away, having delivered its payload at point-blank range. It was a tactic born of desperation and courage, a tactic that only beings who had nothing left to lose would attempt. Captain James Chen flew his fighter through a storm of plasma fire. His ship was small and fast, designed for close combat. Around him, his squadron weaved between the massive Valoran battleships. Stay tight, he ordered his pilots. Get inside their shield range and hit them where it hurts. Captain, we have enemy fighters incoming. Chen looked at his sensors. 30 Valoran fighters were moving to intercept. They were bigger than human fighters, better armed, better shielded, but they had never fought humans before. All ships break formation. Execute. Maneuver Delta 7. The human fighters scattered in what looked like chaos. The Valoran pilots smiled. The primitives were panicking. This would be easy. It was not easy. The human fighters had not scattered randomly. They had divided into hunting pairs, each pair working together to isolate and destroy individual enemy ships. Chen and his wingman targeted a Valoran fighter coming at it from opposite directions. The enemy pilot tried to evade but could not dodge both attacks. His ship exploded in a flash of light. One down, said Chen. Keep moving. Never stop moving. The dogfight lasted 12 minutes. When it ended, 26 Valoran fighters were debris. The humans had lost 8 ships, but 4 pilots had ejected and were being recovered. Area secure, reported Chen, moving to support the main fleet. On the surface of Valoria Prime, Commander Catherine watched the battle from his home. His old heart pounded in his chest. He had warned them for 15 years. He had warned them. Now it was too late. The humans had come. His communicator beeped. It was Vathora from the council. "Catherine, what is happening? Who are these attackers?" "They are humans," said Catherine. "The species we attacked 15 years ago. The primitives we thought were broken. Impossible. They have no FTL technology. They do now." Catherine's voice was tired. "I told you they were dangerous. I told you they would not surrender. You did not listen. What do we do?" Betha sounded scared. The great leader of the Hegemony, scared of a species she had dismissed as primitives. "Let's pray," said Catherine. "Pray that they show us more mercy than we showed them." He ended the communication and continued watching the battle. The human fleet was methodically destroying every military target in orbit. They were efficient and precise, professional, deadly, but they were not attacking civilian targets. Not yet. Perhaps, thought Cathan. There was hope. Perhaps the humans were better than the hegemony. He would soon find out. Admiral Jang watched as the last Valoran battleship tried to escape. It was damaged and leaking atmosphere. Its shields were down. Its weapons were destroyed. "They're trying to jump to FTL," reported her tactical officer. "Should I destroy them?" Jung considered for a moment. Part of her wanted to kill every Valoran ship, every Valorian soldier, every being who had been part of the force that murdered her parents, and 18 million others. But that was not who she wanted to be. "Let them go," she said. "Let them run back to their fleet, and tell them what happened here. Let them spread fear through the hegemony." "Yes, Admiral." The damaged ship jumped away, leaving the humans in complete control of Valoran space. The battle had lasted 9 hours. 23 Valoran warships had been destroyed. 15 more had been damaged and captured. The orbital defense network was slag. The military installations on the ground were burning. The humans had lost 21 ships and 6,000 soldiers. A heavy price, but worth it. "Open a channel to the planet," ordered Jung. "Channel open, Admiral." Jung looked at the world below. 3 billion Valorans waited to learn their fate. They had spent the night watching their fleet burn, watching their defenders die, watching everything they believed about their invincibility shatter like glass. "Good. Citizens of Valoria Prime, this is Admiral Wei Jiang. The battle is over. Your fleet has been destroyed. Your defenses have been eliminated." She paused, letting the words sink in. "We came here tonight to deliver a message. Not conquest, not genocide. A message." She stood straighter. 15 years ago, you came to our world and killed 18 million innocent people. You thought this would make us surrender. You thought this would make us slaves. Her voice grew cold. "You were wrong." She pointed at the tactical display. "Tonight, we prove that humanity is not weak. We are not prey. We are not slaves. We are survivors. And we will never forget what you did to us." She let the silence stretch for a moment. "This is day 1. There will be many more. We will strike when you least expect it. We will appear from nowhere and disappear before you can respond. We will remind you again and again that the hegemony made an enemy they cannot defeat." She prepared to close the channel. "Remember tonight, Valoria Prime. Remember the fire in your sky. Remember the fear in your hearts. And remember why this happened." She gave one final command. Remember why the channel closed. The human fleet began to power up its FTL drives. "All ships prepare to jump," ordered Jung. "Random coordinates. Scatter pattern alpha. Reassemble at 7 in 48 hours. Admiral, their reinforcement fleet is approaching. 300 ships." Jang smiled grimly. "Then we better be gone before they arrive. All ships jump now." One by one, the human vessels disappeared into the darkness. When the Valoran reinforcements arrived, they found only debris in the smoking ruins of their once proud defense network. The humans were gone, but their message remained. On Valoria Prime, the festival of endless rule had become a day of mourning. The skies were dark with smoke. The streets were empty. The proud citizens who had celebrated their empire's greatness now huddled in their homes, afraid. Commander Kethron walked through the ruins of a military base near his home. Human weapons had struck with surgical precision. The barracks were destroyed. The command center was destroyed. The weapons depot was destroyed. But the hospital next door was untouched. The school across the street was untouched. The residential buildings were untouched. The humans had not come for slaughter. They had come for justice. Catherine felt something he had not felt in centuries. Shame. His people had attacked Earth without warning. They had killed millions of innocent civilians. They had offered no mercy, no choice, no chance of survival. They had simply rained death from the sky because they could. The humans had every right to do the same. They had every right to destroy Valoria Prime and everyone on it. Instead, they had struck only military targets. They had shown restraint, discipline, mercy. They were better than the hegemony. Kothron found a piece of debris with human writing on it. He could not read the words, but he kept the fragment anyway. It was a reminder of what his people had done, a reminder of what they now faced. The humans were coming, not for conquest, for justice. And they would not stop until they got it. The Council of 12 met in emergency session. The chamber, that had once echoed with pride, now echoed with fear. "How did this happen?" demanded the Kree representative. "The humans had no ships, no FTL, no weapons. They have them now," said Betha. Her voice was hollow. "Somehow in 15 years, they developed technology we took thousands of years to create. They are primitives. This is impossible." "And yet it happened," said a quiet voice. Catherine stood in the doorway. He had not been invited to the meeting, but no one stopped him from entering. "I warned you," he said. 15 years ago, I told you the humans were dangerous. I told you they were survivors. I told you they would not surrender." "You cannot blame us for this," said the CRT representative. "We followed standard procedure. The submission protocol has worked for 40,000 years. It worked against species who had given up hope," said Catherine. "Against species who saw no future. Against species who had accepted that the universe was cruel and that the strong would always rule the weak." He stepped closer to the council. "Humans are different. They do not accept cruelty. They do not bow to strength. They fight. They adapt. They survive. And when you hurt them, they do not forget." "What do you suggest we do?" asked Beth Mora. Catherine was silent for a moment. "Sue for peace. Apologize for what we did. Offer compensation. Accept responsibility. Never." The CRT representative slammed his fist on the table. "The hegemony does not apologize. We do not bow to primitives. We will crush them." "With what?" asked Catherine. "They destroyed 50 ships in one night. They have FTL technology that allows them to appear and disappear at will. They have weapons that pierce our shields. And they have 8 billion people willing to die for their cause." He shook his head. "This is not a war we can win. The humans will never stop fighting. They will hit us again and again. They will bleed us dry. And one day, they will come for everything we have. Then we will destroy their planet," said the Krath representative. "We will kill every last human." Catherine laughed bitterly. "You still do not understand. The humans expected you to say that. They have been preparing for 15 years. Do you think they kept all 8 billion of their people on one vulnerable world?" The council members looked at each other. They had not considered this. "The humans are no longer on Earth alone," said Catherine. "They have scattered to asteroids, to moons, to colonies we do not even know exist. You could destroy Earth tomorrow and humanity would survive." He turned to leave. "You started this war. You will not end it. Only the humans can do that now. And I fear they will not end it quickly." He paused at the door. "Congratulations, Council. You have awakened a sleeping giant, and you have filled him with terrible resolve. May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on us all." He left the chamber. Behind him, the council argued and shouted and blamed each other. But they could not change what had happened. They could not undo the attack on Earth. They could not take back the 18 million lives they had stolen. All they could do now was wait for the humans to strike again, and they would strike again. Soon, Admiral Jang sat in her quarters aboard the Fury of Earth. The fleet had reassembled at a hidden location. The celebrations were over. The reality of what lay ahead was setting in. They had won the first battle, but the war had just begun. 21 ships lost, 6,000 soldiers dead. The faces of the fallen haunted her dreams. She knew each of them. She had trained with many of them. She had sent them to their deaths. But they had died for a cause. They had died fighting the empire that had murdered their families. They had died proving that humanity would not be enslaved. It was worth it. It had to be worth it. Her communicator beeped. It was General Webb. "Admiral, congratulations on your victory. The Council sends their thanks." "Thank you, General. What are our orders?" "Continue the campaign. Hit their supply lines. Destroy their shipyards. Make them bleed. Make them understand that this war will cost them everything." Jang nodded. "And Earth." Webb was silent for a moment. "The evacuation is nearly complete. 8 billion people have been relocated. Only skeleton crews remain. You think they will attack Earth? I know they will. Their pride will demand it. That is why we prepared. Earth will serve one final purpose when that day comes." Jang felt a chill. She knew what the general meant. She did not like it, but she understood it. "What about peace?" she asked. "Is there any chance of negotiation?" "Not yet. They are too proud, too arrogant. They still think they can win." Webb paused. "We will teach them otherwise. One battle at a time, until they understand that the only way this war ends is with justice. Justice for the 18 million. Justice for humanity. And if they refuse to offer justice, then we keep fighting for as long as it takes, for as many generations as necessary, until they learn what it means to harm the human species." John closed her eyes. War without end. Death without end. Pain without end. But surrender was not an option. Slavery was not an option. The hegemony had offered humanity a choice: submit or die. Humanity had chosen a third option: fight. "Understood, General. We will continue the campaign. Good luck, Admiral. And remember, this is not about revenge. This is about survival. This is about making sure no one ever attacks our species again." "I understand." The communication ended. Jang looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the hegemony was preparing their response. Somewhere out there, battles were being planned that would kill millions more. But humanity would survive. They had survived ice ages and plagues. They had survived world wars and atomic bombs. They had survived everything the universe had thrown at them. They would survive this too, because that was what humans did. They survived. The hegemony sent everything. 4,000 warships gathered at the edge of human space. Battleships, carriers, destroyers. The largest fleet ever assembled in the history of the hegemony. Ground armies numbering 5 billion soldiers waited in transport ships. They had one simple mission: destroy Earth, kill every human, end the war. Admiral Corrin commanded the fleet. He had been promoted after the disaster at Valoria Prime. The Council wanted someone aggressive, someone ruthless, someone who would not show mercy. "Set course for the human homeworld," he ordered. "Maximum speed. We end this today." The massive fleet jumped into FTL. They traveled through the darkness between stars, carrying enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds. The humans would pay for their attack on Valoria Prime. They would pay with their lives, with their planet, with their very existence. But the humans knew they were coming. General Marcus Webb stood in a hidden bunker on a moon orbiting Jupiter. Around him, screens showed the evacuation of Earth. 8 billion people being moved to secret locations across the solar system and beyond. "How much longer?" he asked. 12 hours until the last transport leaves," said his aide. "We're cutting it close. We always knew we would." "Are the charges in place?" "Yes, sir. 15 years of preparation. Every major fault line, every volcanic hotspot, every deep mine. Earth is ready." Webb closed his eyes. Earth, the cradle of humanity, the only home his species had ever known. In a few days, it would be gone. They had always known it would come to this. The hegemony would never accept defeat. They would come for Earth with everything they had, and humanity could not defend their homeworld against 4,000 ships. So, they had made other plans. "Send the final message to Earth," said Webb. "Tell our people to say goodbye to their planet. Tell them to remember everything they love about it, and tell them to be ready." "Yes, sir." Webb looked at an image of Earth on his screen. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds, the most beautiful world in the universe. Soon it would be fire and ash. But humanity would survive. That was all that mattered. Now on Earth, Sarah Chen walked through the empty streets of New Beijing. The city had been rebuilt after the alien attack. 30 million people had lived here. Now it was empty. She was one of the last to leave. She had work to finish. Sarah was 70 years old now. Her hair was white, her body was tired, but her mind was still sharp. She had spent 15 years working to defeat the aliens who had taken everything from her. Now she had one final job. Dr. Chen, the transport is waiting. She turned to see a young soldier standing behind her. He looked nervous. Everyone was nervous these days. I know, she said. Just a few more minutes. She walked to a memorial in the center of the city. It showed the names of everyone who had died in the original attack. 18 million names carved into black stone. 18 million lives ended by alien arrogance. Sarah placed her hand on the memorial. Her parents' names were there. Her brother's name. Her friends' names. Everyone she had loved. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry we have to leave. I'm sorry we cannot protect this place. She wiped tears from her eyes. But we will not forget. We will carry your memory with us, wherever we go. And one day we will make them pay for what they did. She turned and walked to the transport. The soldier helped her aboard. As the ship lifted off, Sarah looked out the window at the city below, at the planet below, at home. Goodbye, she said softly. Goodbye, Earth. The transport jumped into FTL. Sarah did not look back. She could not bear to. The HFY fleet arrived at Earth expecting a battle. They found silence. Where are their ships? Asked Corin. Where are their defenses? His sensors showed an empty planet. No military bases, no orbital stations, no fleet waiting to fight. Just a world empty and waiting. They have abandoned their homeworld, said his tactical officer. The humans have fled. Corin felt satisfaction wash over him. The humans were cowards after all. They had run rather than face the might of the hegemony. Find them, he ordered. Track their ships. They cannot have gone far. Sir, we are detecting something on the planet's surface. What is it? We are not sure. Energy signatures of some kind. Deep underground. Corin dismissed it. Probably power plants they forgot to shut down. Proceed with the bombardment. I want this planet reduced to rubble. Yes, Admiral. The fleet moved into orbit. 1,600 ships took position above the blue and green world. They charged their weapons. They prepared to fire. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, an automated system received a signal. The signal came from a satellite hidden in the asteroid belt. It carried a simple message. Execute Protocol Omega. The system followed its programming. It had been designed 15 years ago for this exact moment. Every calculation had been checked 1,000 times. Every component had been tested. Everything was ready. The system activated across the planet. 10,000 devices woke from their long sleep. They were hidden in mine shafts, in caverns, in the depths of the ocean. They had been waiting for this moment. They were antimatter charges, the largest antimatter weapons ever created by humanity. Combined, they contained enough energy to crack a planet in half. The countdown began. On the bridge of his flagship, Corin watched the bombardment begin. Kinetic projectiles fell toward the planet's surface. They would strike the major cities first, then the smaller settlements, then every square kilometer of the planet until nothing remained. Admiral, we are detecting a massive energy surge from the planet. What kind of energy surge? Antimatter, sir. Multiple sources. They are underground. Corin felt his blood turn cold. Antimatter. The humans had planted antimatter charges on their own planet. All ships, pull back. Emergency retreat. But it was too late. The charges detonated simultaneously. The energy release was beyond anything the hegemony had ever witnessed. It was like a star being born, like reality itself tearing apart. The planet cracked. The crust shattered. The mantle erupted. Oceans boiled into nothing. Continents dissolved into fire. And the shock wave reached out into space. 1,600 hegemony ships were caught in the blast. Their shields meant nothing against that much energy. Their armor meant nothing. They were simply erased, vaporized, turned into atoms scattered across the void. When the fire faded, Earth was gone. In its place was a field of debris, rocks and dust, and memories. The cradle of humanity had sacrificed itself to destroy its enemies. The hegemony fleet that had come to end humanity had lost 40% of its strength in seconds. And from the darkness, a message broadcast on all frequencies. Our cradle for your fleet. The trade was worth it. Was it worth it to you? The news of Earth's destruction spread through the galaxy. No one could believe it. The humans had destroyed their own homeworld. They had killed 1,600 hegemony ships and lost their planet in the process. On Valoria Prime, Commander Catherine heard the news and wept. Not for the hegemony ships, for the humans, for the species that had loved their world so much they were willing to sacrifice it rather than see it enslaved. They are insane, said Bethra. No sane species would destroy their own homeworld. They are not insane, said Catherine. They are free. They valued their freedom more than their planet, more than anything. Then they are fools, are they? Catherine looked at the reports. 1,600 ships destroyed. 20% of the hegemony's total military strength gone in an instant. They just dealt us the greatest blow in 40,000 years. And they did it by sacrificing everything they loved. He shook his head. They are not fools. They are the most dangerous enemies we have ever faced, because there is nothing they will not do, nothing they will not sacrifice, nothing they will not destroy to remain free. Beth Moore had no response. For the first time, she looked truly afraid. The war continued for 15 more years. Without their homeworld, humanity became impossible to find. They had scattered to 1,000 secret colonies, asteroid bases, underground cities on frozen moons, hidden stations in the void between stars. The hegemony could not track them, could not locate them, could not destroy them, but the humans could find the hegemony. Admiral Jiang led the Shadow Fleet in a campaign of terror. They struck supply convoys. They destroyed shipyards. They attacked communication relays everywhere. Where the hegemony turned, humans were there, killing, burning, disappearing before reinforcements arrived. They are like ghosts, complained a hegemony commander. They come from nowhere. They kill everything in their path. And then they vanish. The war ground on year after year, battle after battle. The hegemony threw everything they had at humanity. New ships, new weapons, new tactics. Nothing worked. The humans adapted faster than the hegemony could develop countermeasures. When the hegemony built better shields, humans built better weapons. When the hegemony developed tracking systems, humans learned to jam them. When the hegemony trained special forces, humans killed them with booby traps and ambushes. How do they keep fighting? Wondered Koran, who had survived the destruction of Earth. We have killed millions of them. We have destroyed their homeworld. Why do they not surrender? He did not understand. He could not understand. The hegemony had ruled through fear for 40,000 years. They believed that enough violence would break any species. Humans were different. Violence did not break humans. It made them stronger. Every death created new soldiers willing to fight. Every atrocity created new reasons to hate. Every victory made the humans more determined to win the next battle. One by one, the other species of the hegemony began to break. The Kree were the first. After losing 3 colony worlds to human raids, they sued for separate peace. They renounced their membership in the hegemony and promised to never fight humanity again. The humans accepted. They did not want to destroy every alien species. They wanted justice. They wanted peace. They wanted the hegemony to pay for what they had done. The Morvani left next. Then the Sil. Then the Venai. One by one, the 12 species of the hegemony abandoned the war. They had seen what humanity could do. They wanted no more part in this conflict. By the 30th year of the war, only the Valorans remained. They were wounded. Their fleet was half its original size. Their economy was in ruins. Their people were terrified. But they refused to surrender. Pride, arrogance, stubbornness. The same traits that had made them attack Earth in the first place now prevented them from admitting defeat. "We will fight to the last ship," declared Betha. She was old now, tired, but she would not yield. "The hegemony has never surrendered. We will not start now." Admiral Siang received a message from General Webb. He was dying. The old soldier had led humanity's military for 30 years. Now his body was finally giving out. She went to see him in his quarters, on a hidden station, orbiting a dead star. He looked small in his hospital bed, fragile, human. "Adam," he said, his voice weak. "Thank you for coming. Of course, General. He smiled. You have done well, Jang. You have led our people through the darkest time in our history. You have kept them fighting when surrender seemed easier. You have given them hope. I only did my duty, she said. You did more than that. You became a symbol. When people see your ships, they know that humanity has not been broken, that we are still fighting, that we will never stop. He coughed. His body was failing. The war is almost over, he said. The Valorans are alone. Their fleet is destroyed. Their allies have abandoned them. All that remains is their pride. What do you want me to do, General? Webb looked at her with clear eyes. Despite his dying body, his mind was still sharp. Offer them a choice. Surrender unconditionally. Face tribunal for their crimes. Accept responsibility for what they did. And if they refuse, then we continue until one of us no longer exists. Zhang nodded. I understand. Webb reached out and took her hand. His grip was weak, but his intention was strong. Remember why we fight, Admiral? Not for revenge, not for conquest. For justice. For the 18 million. For Earth. For everything they took from us. I will remember. Webb smiled one last time. Good. Now go finish what we started. End this war. Give our children a future worth living. He closed his eyes. Marcus Webb died that night. The man who had built humanity's military from nothing. The man who had planned the destruction of Earth to save his species. The man who had never stopped fighting. Admiral Zhang stood at his memorial service. Soldiers from every human colony attended. They came to honor the general who had given them a chance to survive. He asked me to end the war, Zhang said in her eulogy. He asked me to remember why we fight. I will honor both requests. She looked at the gathered soldiers, gay-haired veterans who had fought since the beginning, young soldiers who had been born in hidden colonies, never knowing Earth except through stories, all of them united by a common cause. The Valorans are alone now. Their empire has crumbled. Their allies have fled. All that remains is their stubborn pride. She raised her hand. We will break that pride, not through cruelty, not through genocide, through persistence, through determination, through the simple fact that we will never, ever give up. She closed her fist. For General Webb, for the 18 million, for Earth. The soldiers repeated the words, for Earth. The final campaign began. Commander Catherine received the news that Admiral Jeong's fleet was approaching Valoria Prime. 200 human ships against the 30 that remained of the Valoran Defense Force. The end had come. He went to see Betha in the council chamber. She sat alone. The other representatives had fled or died. The great hegemony that had ruled for 40,000 years had been reduced to one old woman and one old man. They are coming, said Catherine. I know we cannot win this battle. I know. Will you surrender? Betha was silent for a long time. Pride and fear weared in her eyes. I do not know, she finally said. I have led our people for 300 years. I have never known defeat. I do not know how to surrender. Catherine sat beside her. They had been enemies once. He had warned against the attack on Earth. She had dismissed his warnings, but that seemed like ancient history now. The humans are not monsters, he said. They could have destroyed us after the first attack. They chose not to. They could have killed every Valoran on the planets they conquered. They chose not to. What are you saying? I am saying there may be mercy if we accept responsibility. If we admit what we did was wrong. If we surrender with dignity, rather than fighting to the last. Fora looked at him. Her eyes were tired. After everything we have done, you believe they will show mercy? I believe they are better than us. I have believed it since I first studied them. I have been proven right again and again. He took her hand. Choose mercy, Vathmora. Choose peace. Choose to give our people a future, even if it is not the future we imagine. Vathmora closed her eyes. When she opened them, something had changed. The pride was still there, but it was joined by something else. Acceptance. Very well, she said. Contact the human fleet. Tell them we are ready to discuss terms. Keithan felt relief wash over him. After 31 years of war, it was finally ending. But he knew the hardest part was still to come. Not the negotiations, not the trials, not the punishment. The hardest part would be looking the humans in the eye and admitting that everything they had suffered was the hegemony's fault. That would be the true price of defeat. And Catherine suspected it was a price that would take generations to pay. The final human fleet surrounded Valoria Prime like a ring of steel. 200 warships, the last of humanity's military strength. They had traveled across the galaxy, fighting battle after battle, losing friends and family along the way. Now they were here, at the homeworld of their enemy, at the place where the war could finally end. Admiral Wei Jiang stood on the bridge of the UTS Remembrance. The ship had been renamed after Earth's destruction. It carried the memory of humanity's lost homeworld in its very name. Jiang was 61 years old now. Her hair was completely gray. Her face was lined with years of worry and grief. She had been fighting this war for almost half her life. She had watched friends die. She had ordered attacks that killed thousands. She had done terrible things in the name of survival. Now it was almost over. "Admiral, the Valoran fleet has powered down their weapons," reported her tactical officer. "They are not resisting, and the planet shields are lowered. Defense platforms are offline. They have surrendered." Jiang closed her eyes. 31 years. 31 years of war. Billions dead on both sides. Humanity's homeworld destroyed. Countless colonies burned. All of it leading to this moment. "Open a channel to their leadership," she ordered. "Channel open." "Admiral." Jiang looked at the blue and green world below her. It was beautiful. Like Earth had been beautiful. Full of life. Full of people. Full of dreams. "This is Admiral Wei Jiang of the United Terran Fleet. We have received your surrender. We are prepared to discuss terms." A face appeared on her screen. An old Valoran female, Voth Mor Mora, the last leader of the hegemony. "Admiral Jiang, I am ready to speak with you. Are you prepared to face justice for what your people did?" Beth Mora was silent for a moment. Pride and defeat weared in her expression. "I am prepared to discuss your terms." Jiang nodded. "Then we will meet on neutral ground. Bring Commander Kathan as well. I understand he warned you about attacking Earth. I would like to speak with him. He will be there." The channel closed. Jiang turned to her crew. "Prepare a shuttle. I will meet with their representatives personally." Her aides stepped forward. "Admiral, is that wise? This could be a trap." Jiang smiled tiredly. "If they wanted to trap us, they would have kept their weapons powered. No, the war is over. Now comes the hard part. The hard part, Admiral. Deciding what justice looks like, and whether we are better than the beings who started this war." The meeting took place on a small moon, orbiting the outer gas giant of the Valoran system, a neutral location, neither human nor Valoran. Admiral Jiang walked into the meeting room, flanked by 2 guards. Across the table sat Beth Mora and Commander Cathron. They looked old, tired, defeated. Good, thought Jiang. They should feel defeated after everything they did. But another part of her, a quiet part that remembered her parents teaching her about kindness and forgiveness, felt something else. Not quite pity, not quite sympathy, but something close. "Let us begin," she said, sitting down. Betha nodded. "What are your terms?" "Complete disarmament. Your remaining fleet will be surrendered. Your weapons factories will be dismantled. You will have no military capability." Bethmora winced, but did not argue. "Reparations. You will contribute to the rebuilding of human colonies. You will share technology. You will provide resources." Another nod. "Trials. Those responsible for the attack on Earth will face justice. Those who ordered the deaths of 18 million innocent people will be held accountable." Bethamora looked down at the table. Her hands trembled slightly. "And our people? The civilians who had nothing to do with the war?" Jiang studied her for a moment. This was the question. This was the moment that would define what humanity had become. "They will be unharmed. We are not monsters. We do not punish the innocent for the crimes of their leaders." Catherine let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for years. "Thank you, Admiral." Jiang turned to look at him, the Valoran who had warned against attacking Earth, the one who had predicted everything that followed. "You knew this would happen," she said. "You warned them." "I did. They did not listen." "Why?" Catherine was quiet for a moment. "Pride. Arrogance. We had ruled for so long that we could not imagine being challenged. We looked at your species, and saw primitives, animals to be conquered, resources to be harvested. He met her eyes. We did not see survivors. We did not see warriors. We did not see beings who would sacrifice everything to remain free. And now I see clearly. Your species is remarkable, Admiral. You were offered peace and answered with friendship. We responded with fire. You should have been broken. Instead, you became stronger. He shook his head. In 40,000 years of hegemony rule, no species has ever done what yours did. No species has ever fought back so fiercely. No species has ever won. Jang felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness. She could not forgive. Not yet. Perhaps not ever. But something else. Understanding. We are a stubborn species. She said, we do not know how to give up. It is our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. It saved you. It cost us everything. Our homeworld. Billions of lives. 31 years of war. She paused. Was it worth it, Commander? Looking back on everything that happened, was attacking Earth worth it? Catherine's face showed pain that went deeper than anything physical. No, nothing was worth this. We destroyed your world for resources we did not need, for pride we did not deserve, for an empire that crumbled because of our own actions. He bowed his head. I am sorry, Admiral, for what my people did, for what they cost you, for everything. The words hung in the air. Simple words, inadequate words, but sincere. Chiang did not respond immediately. She was thinking about her parents, about Shanghai, about the 18 million who had died because the hegemony wanted to prove their strength. She was thinking about Earth, the blue marble in space, the oceans and forests and cities, the place where humans had been born and grown and dreamed gone now, destroyed by human hands, to deny it to alien conquerors. She was thinking about the soldiers she had led, the friends she had lost, the choices she had made, and she was thinking about what came next. An apology does not bring back the dead, she finally said. It does not rebuild Earth. It does not heal the wounds your people caused. Cathron nodded. I know, but it is a start. Jang stood up. We accept your surrender. We will enforce our terms, and your people will learn what it means to be held accountable for their actions. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. This war is over, but the peace will be long and difficult. Your species will need to change to become something better than the empire that attacked us. Can we? Asked Devathamora. After everything, Jang turned to look at her. Humans have changed many times throughout our history. We have gone from tribes to nations, to a united species. We have survived wars and plagues and disasters. We have rebuilt again and again. She paused. If we can change, so can you. It will take time. It will take generations. But it is possible. If you choose it, she walked toward the door. I will address your people tomorrow. The war ends officially at midnight. Make sure everyone knows. She stopped at the threshold. One more thing. I want to broadcast a message to the galaxy. A final transmission. Will you allow it? Beth Mora nodded slowly. What kind of message? Zhang's expression was unreadable. The truth about what happened, about why, about what it cost, and about what we choose to do now. She left the room. Behind her, two aliens sat in silence, trying to understand the beings who had destroyed their empire, and then offered them mercy. The next day, every screen in the galaxy carried the same broadcast. Admiral Wei Jiang stood on the bridge of the Remembrance, looking into a camera that would transmit her words across 100 star systems. Behind her, Valoria Prime hung in the viewport. Beautiful, intact, spared. My name is Wei Jiang. I am an admiral in the United Terran Fleet. I am also a daughter, a soldier, and a survivor. And I have a message for the galaxy. She took a breath. 31 years ago, humanity sent our first message to the stars. We did not know if anyone was listening. We did not know what they would think of us. We only knew that we were not alone, and we wanted to say hello. Images appeared on screens across the galaxy. Images of Earth as it had been, blue and green and beautiful. Our message was simple. We came in peace. We wish to learn. We wish to share. We hope to make friends among the stars. The images changed. Burning cities, destruction, death. The hegemony received our message. They came to our world, and they answered our friendship with fire. 18 million of our people died in a single afternoon. Children, families, innocents, who had done nothing wrong. Zhang's voice remained steady, but emotion flickered in her eyes. They thought this would break us. They thought we would kneel and serve. They thought we were weak because we wanted peace. The images changed again. Human ships, human soldiers, human determination. They were wrong. She stood straighter. We spent 15 years preparing. We united as a species for the first time in our history. We developed technology. We built ships. We trained soldiers. And when we were ready, we fought back. Images of the war, battles, victories, losses. The war lasted 31 years. We lost our homeworld. We lost billions of our people. We sacrificed everything we had to remain free. And we won. She paused, letting the words sink in. Today, the hegemony has surrendered. Their fleet is destroyed. Their empire is broken. Their leaders will face justice for their crimes. She looked directly into the camera. But we did not come to destroy them. We did not come for revenge. We came for something more important. The camera pulled back, revealing the beautiful planet behind her. This is Valoria Prime, the homeworld of our enemy. 3 billion people live there. People who had nothing to do with the attack on Earth. People who were born into an empire that told them conquest was right, and mercy was weakness. She turned to look at the planet. We could destroy this world. Every ship commander in my fleet has lost someone to this war. Every soldier under my command has reason to want revenge. And if we destroyed Valoria Prime, who could blame us? They destroyed our homeworld. They started this war. They showed us no mercy. She turned back to the camera. But we are not them. Silence. Humanity has done terrible things throughout our history. We have waged wars. We have committed atrocities. We have caused unimaginable suffering. But we have also shown mercy. We have also forgiven. We have also chosen to be better than our worst impulses. She spread her hands. Today, we make that choice again. The Valoran people will not be destroyed. They will be held accountable, but they will survive. Their children will grow up in a galaxy where humans are not conquerors, but partners, where strength is not measured by how many you can kill, but by how many you can save. She lowered her hands. This is the last transmission from Earth. Our world is gone, sacrificed to end a tyranny that threatened everything we loved. But humanity endures. We scattered to 1,000 worlds. We built. We fought. We survived. Because that is what we do. Her voice grew stronger. You looked at us and saw prey. You should have seen survivors. She paused. If this is how peace was offered, you answered with war. Regret follows. Another pause. We do not forgive. We do not forget. But we choose to be better than you. She straightened. This war is over. See that you remember why it began. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in silence. Valorans wept in their homes, understanding for the first time what their empire had done. Other species watched in awe at the humans who had won the war, and then chosen mercy. Children asked their parents what it meant. On the remembrance, Admiral Zhang closed her eyes. It was done. 31 years of war, billions dead, a homeworld lost, and at the end, mercy. She did not know if it was the right choice. She did not know if history would praise her or condemn her. She only knew it was the choice she could live with. Captain James Chen, who had fought in the first battle of the war as a young pilot and now commanded his own ship, approached her. Admiral, the fleet is asking for orders. Zhang opened her eyes. Stand down all weapons. Begin relief operations. There are people on that planet who need food and medicine. Make sure they get it. Chen hesitated. Some of the crews are not happy about helping the Valorans. I know. Tell them I understand. Tell them their anger is justified. And then tell them that we won this war because we were better than our enemies. If we act like them now, we lose everything we fought for. Chen nodded slowly. I will tell them. He started to leave, then stopped. Admiral, for what it is worth, you made the right choice. General Webb would be proud. Zhang felt tears threaten to fall. She held them back. There would be time for tears later. Right now, she had work to do. Thank you, Captain. Now, let us show the galaxy what humanity can do when we choose to build instead of destroy. 100 years later, on a green world called New Terra, children gathered in a classroom. They came from many species. Human children sat beside Valoran children. Kree played with Morvani during recess. The old hatreds were fading year by year. The teacher was an old woman named Sarah Chen. Not the Sarah Chen who had witnessed the first contact. That Sarah had died decades ago. This was her granddaughter, named in her honor. Today, we are going to learn about the first contact war, said Sarah. The children grew quiet. They had heard stories. Of course, everyone had heard stories. But the official lessons were important. A long time ago, before any of you were born, humans lived on a world called Earth. It was a beautiful world. Blue oceans and green forests and white clouds. She showed them images. The children gasped at the beauty. When humans discovered that they were not alone in the universe, they were excited. They sent a message to the stars, a message of peace and friendship. She paused. But the hegemony which ruled this part of the galaxy at that time did not want peace. They wanted conquest. They attacked Earth and killed millions of innocent people. A young Valoran child raised her hand. My grandmother says that was wrong. Your grandmother is correct. It was very wrong. And it started a terrible war that lasted 31 years. Sarah showed them images of the war, not the violent images. The children were too young for those. Just images of ships and soldiers in ruined cities. Humans lost their homeworld in the war. Earth was destroyed, but humans survived. They fought until the hegemony surrendered. A human boy raised his hand. Did we kill all the Valorans? Sarah smiled gently. No. When the war ended, humans chose mercy. They punished the leaders who started the war, but they did not harm the innocent. She gestured at the Valorian children in the classroom. That is why your friends are here today. That is why we live together in peace. Because humans chose to be better than their enemies. She walked to the front of the classroom. The lesson of the first contact war is not about revenge or hatred. It is about choices. The hegemony chose to answer friendship with violence. Humans chose to answer victory with mercy. She looked at each child in turn. Every day, each of you will face choices. Small choices, big choices, and the choices you make will shape who you become. She smiled. Choose kindness when you can. Choose strength when you must. And always remember that the hand you offer in friendship is more powerful than the fist you raise in anger. A bell rang. Class was over. The children gathered their things and ran outside to play. Humans and Valorans and all the others mixed together, laughing together. Sarah watched them go, the future running into the sunlight, the promise of everything humanity had fought for. In orbit above New Terra, a memorial station circled the planet. At its heart, preserved in stasis, floated a single handful of Earth's soil, all that remained of humanity's first home. Its plaque read simply, Earth, Cradle of Humanity, Sacrifice 262, so that others may live, so that none may forget. And in the museum attached to the station, visitors could see the last transmission ever sent from Earth. The message Admiral Jiang had broadcast to the galaxy when the war ended. It ended with 8 words that had become humanity's motto. 8 words that defined who they were and who they chose to be. We choose to be better than you. The words hung in the darkness of space. A promise, a warning, a hope. Humanity had reached for the stars with an open hand. The universe had answered with fire. And humanity had answered with something even more powerful. Mercy. Because in the end, that was what made them human. Not their strength, not their weapons, not their technology. Their choice to be better. Always.